Yeah, Nazis are pretty f***ing gay.
Yeah.
Lady in the Trans podcast. Where we believe in science. We don't believe in God. Only science. Science will solve all the problems. That's the trans agenda.
There's trans people in science, come save the day.
Solve the problems with us. With science. Science, bitch.
Science and my trans agenda, I'm returning trans. Of the microphone.
Welcome to our show where Chloe just sings and whistles to you. It's phenomenal.
Look, I didn't even know you started.
Well, I just started now.
We started!
We
Here
started.
we go! Welcome to
Welcome.
Lady in the Trans.
Lady in the Trans podcast. I'm Lady.
And I'm trans.
I'm glad we're not trying to do the anonymous thing this time.
Yeah, no, it was, we already recorded this whole episode.
We both had like stripper names and it was confusing.
We kept calling each other,
Yeah.
Nope, we're
Showing our faces now.
we're full facial.
We're full facial, yes.
Chloe and Laura.
Chloe and Laura.
But who is who?
But who is who? And who is lady and who is trans?
Ooh, I mean, we did already say that part.
We did, yeah. Or did we?
Okay. Well, this is obviously our first go around.
Yeah. It's, it's a little humble and cozy of a setup, but
Yeah. But generally speaking, today is the day that we are going to diagnose officially JK Rowling as a trans man
with gender dysphoria.
with gender dysphoria
Yeah.
because
He's totally a dude.
he's a guy.
He's
a guy. And I built a whole case. I got a lot of notes. Oh, did I take notes? I've been paying attention.
Yeah, and you know what? The other day, so I Googled JK Rowling because of that tweet you told me about.
You gathered some new evidence, which
And I was like-
is in the data.
I was like, oh, I want to see like whatever the tweet was. So I looked it up and his birthday pops up.
Yeah.
Let's just, I'm going to,
Yeah.
It's going to get confusing for, anyways.
That is one piece of many pieces of evidence that proves the point that we are trying to make here.
So if you're not a Harry Potter fan and you're listening to this, in the story, Harry Potter's birthday is July 31st. And when I Googled JK Rowling the other day, it pops up the celebrity's birthday when you Google a person. And I was like, wait a second. And that's when it all clicked in my head. JK Rowling's birthday is July 31st, just
Yep.
like Harry Potter.
Harry Potter is a author insert character. It is J.K. Rowling's ideal self. She wishes she could be the most special boy in the world,
Yup.
but instead, she is simply the richest woman in the world,
Yes.
using her powers for evil.
Yes.
It is unfortunate.
And just spewing lies and misinformation because
Yeah.
she's salty. She can't live her life as herself, which is real sad. Hold on, there's latency. Let me fix this.
Latency.
Latency.
Hate latency. I think maybe the best place to start here is just to break down gender dysphoria and how being a closeted trans person manifests when you happen to be a closeted trans person. I don't know if you have experienced this, but I certainly have.
Can't say I have, but I know you have.
I have been a closeted trans person before. I don't like to talk about it, but
Yeah, no, not at all.
it's certainly not something I did for 30 years.
It's not like we went out and got these mics and
I-
decided
yeah.
you're going to talk about
Decided
it.
I was going to talk
to the
about it
whole
all
internet.
the time, literally
Yeah.
all of the time.
Right? It's going to be your
Yeah.
whole personality.
Pretty much.
You've got a whole agenda behind it now.
Oh, the trans agenda.
Everyone
Let me
else-
tell
everyone
you
else must
about
be
the
trans with you.
agenda. But anyway, so a key part of being a trans person or a trans child is not necessarily knowing that you are trans or knowing that you have gender dysphoria, at least not for me back in the 90s. What's your face is doing the thing?
I was making sure it was picking up.
Oh.
But yeah, it is. We're good.
Okay. But simply wishing to be the opposite gender that you are, or that everyone has claimed that you are. Something that I did certainly a lot from roughly first grade through until the day that I came out. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to be a girl. I feel like I am a girl. I don't know if that's a thing, but like, I feel like maybe God made a mistake and just like put me in the wrong body. Like, was definitely a thought and a feeling that I had, especially while going to Catholic school, which was its own bucket of worms that maybe we'll dive into on another episode.
Yeah, that's a whole nother layer of shit. We'll go into the Catholic Church and organized religion another time.
Yeah, but yeah, wishing to be the opposite gender, having feelings of like, gosh, it would just be so much better if I was the other gender. Something that I did, something that, as we will discuss later, JK Rowling also did.
Yep. We'll dive into that. I want to talk about your specific scenario.
Yes.
So,
do you have questions?
I do. So, because I hear a lot of trans people, like, because a lot of the things people gravitate towards too, based on whatever gender it is they are, a lot of it's just like ideas that society has put out, like, you're a girl, so you should like these things, and you're a boy, so you should like these things. I think if you take those things away, just what society has deemed this is acceptable for this gender, I think it's also just the way you think, process emotions, even before you transition.
Oh, definitely.
What were some of those, if that makes sense? I don't even know if that made any sense.
I don't know if I can like think of an example offhand, other than to say, like, if I was in a group of girls, which I frequently found myself in the pre-puberty era of childhood, like, I basically was only friends with girls. And when we hung out, it felt right. It felt normal. It felt okay. Like, we would like do cool art projects together or like make things. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold and quitting vaping. So like my lungs are going through a hell of a time.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, like, it felt correct. And when I was hanging out with like a group of boys, I felt out of place. I felt uncomfortable. I felt like I didn't quite fit in. I didn't quite understand. Like, I wasn't on the same wavelength. And then like,
Almost like you didn't emotionally connect.
totally,
Sort of a thing,
which I also just chalked up to being like, being raised as a man in the patriarchy. Like, men are taught to not have feelings, and boys are taught from a very early age to not have feelings and to not emotionally connect, and to basically, like, if they're gonna bond over something, it's like either girls or sports.
Yeah.
And like, there's basically nothing else they're like allowed to talk about with each other. And so that always rubbed me the wrong way. And I was always the kid at the sleepovers being like, so like, does anybody ever think about like the meaning of life? Or like, does anybody want to talk about deeper stuff? Or like, can we turn off the video games for a little while and just like talk? Does anyone want to like get in our sleeping bags and just like have a chat? Like,
It's so funny too, because like back then you're being perceived as a boy and presenting as one, but the way you're telling the story, I just imagine like a little 8-year-old girl at a sleepover with a bunch of boys, like, do you guys want to like do something else? And they're just like, get your sister out of here, dude. Like,
I mean, that was basically the vibe. Like, they'd just be like, you sit over on the edge of the couch and don't talk. Like,
Yeah.
like, what do you mean talk about other things? Like, I don't understand what that even means. So that was a pretty common experience. Like, I was in the Boy Scouts and like, that was miserable. Like, I was constantly just like, I don't like it here. But like, anytime I would be like, I would have to go to like one of my sister's Girl Scout meetings after school because like my mom was the chaperone and couldn't take me home first. Like, I would always participate in all of the activities and like on my own, like off on the side, but I would like do everything they wanted. Like, you know, I would make the artwork or I would like design the gingerbread house or whatever it was we were doing. I was always like, yeah, that sounds fun. And then the Boy Scout activities, I'd be like, does anyone want to like run away and like go hide
and go
from
marry
all the adults?
Kristen Stewart.
Obviously, marry Kristen Stewart was like number one on my list. That was one of the biggest signs, I think, was the fact that every boy I knew was like, ugh, Kristen Stewart, she's so gross.
And then your lesbian ass
She
was
never
like-
smiles. And I'm like, I think she's like the prettiest, hottest person who's ever been alive in the history of the universe. I'm like in love with Kristen Stewart. She's the only one for me.
I'm not even that gay of a bitch to be on that level, so.
But that was also the challenging part of it was like being a girl who likes girls. Everyone was like, well, then you definitely can't be a girl because everyone knows trans girls only like dudes. So like if you're into girls, then like why don't you just be a dude? I'm like, well, part of the problem is I'm basically only attracted to the lesbian ones, and if I'm a dude,
They're not into it.
They don't like me at all. So
it's so funny when I hear like there's another level of it for like homosexual trans people, I feel like, because it's already so weird for society to like grasp the idea that you need to switch genders so you don't feel distressed and you feel more like yourself. That's already a concept people have a hard time wrapping their head around. And then when you throw in, I need to switch genders, also I'm gay, people are like, well, what the fuck? Because they already don't understand the first point here.
Right. And they still don't really understand being gay.
Yeah, and they still don't even get that.
Like, there's a lot of
especially not dudes. Dudes walk around, like, attracted to each other. A lot of them are bisexuals at the very least, and they just hate themselves for it. So, like, trying to understand someone else going through that on another level with the gender, it's just, it's too much for people.
Because there's nothing worse than you could be as a man than gay or feminine in any way.
Yeah.
So to be like, actually, I'm just a whole-ass woman. They're like,
what's the point?
Absolutely not. Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you be given the gift of better privileges and decide to reject them?
Be respected, and then you want to get rid. And that's how you know this shit is real, because nobody born a man that's actually not distressed being a like you know what? If you were just born a man, I'm not saying men don't have their problems, but like you get a certain level of respect and safety that comes with that. Yeah. So for you to be so uncomfortable in your body and distressed that you need to change your sex, that says that this is a real thing people are experiencing.
I am absolutely very aware.
You would think people would come to that conclusion, but it's just, I don't know.
But nope, they can't. They're too stuck in the ways, and you know, patriarchy and capitalism need us to adhere to our very strict roles that they've aligned for us in order for everything to keep functioning the way it's supposed to function.
Yeah, but it's like such a rabbit hole. I don't even know how to fit this into one episode right now.
It's a lot. We could literally talk about it for a whole podcast.
We really
which
could.
Is probably why we have it.
Yeah, that is true.
Not that trans is the only thing we're going to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about other shit too. But like, it's probably going to come up a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's in the title of the show.
Yeah, it's also an important subject right now because trans people are used right now as a scapegoat politically to be like,
are we? I've heard nothing about this.
Oh no, you guys are perfect.
I thought we were just totally safe.
No one's trying to murder you in the streets.
No one was trying to take our rights away or like take away our health care or any of that. Like I haven't heard a single thing.
Yeah, life is great for you. You just join women's sports and just like annihilate, right?
I've never been turned away. I've never had weird looks in the women's bathroom.
No one's ever tried to like set you on fire while
you're
walking.
No one ever tried to set me on fire while I was walking.
That's a real story, by the way.
Someone did try to do that.
Yeah,
actually.
we'll discuss that.
No one ever walked up to me at the park and started recording me and telling me I wasn't allowed to be there because children come there. Like, yeah, none of those things have ever happened to me at all.
It's irritating that some of the more extreme things that happen to you, I'm not there because I've had people say shitty things to you and I'm like, yo, fuck you.
Well, they're only going to do the most extreme stuff when they feel the most safe, which is like when I'm by myself.
And if you are seen with me, it's like
they're not going to do their shit.
Yeah, because I might say something and then they're also not getting the reaction they want because they want you to freak out so they can record it and put it online and be like, oh, trans people are just crazy.
Look, they're crazy.
But if I'm the one flipping out, it's like, oh, this bitch was being a good friend.
Don't mind the fact that I edited out the front part of the video where I totally instigated this reaction, but like, look at this crazy trans person in the park.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's like, and the funny part is, like, I have a lot of trans friends besides you, and like trans people are the least likely to stand up for themselves because of things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, like, people will misgender you and you won't even correct them, and I have to
fucking
do it.
It's not worth a confrontation.
I get why it's too much work because they'll still keep fucking doing it. I'm like, yo, it's not that hard.
They'll just double down.
Yeah.
Or they'll just like call you dumb names. It's like I get no benefits and like more annoyance if I say or do anything about it.
Yeah, literally, I just want us to have a new scenario where someone misgenders you, so I can start misgendering them.
Great,
because no one likes being misgendered.
Right, exactly. I mean, that is usually the only recourse I have when
Because I had that idea like after the last time this happened. I'm like, fuck, I want it to happen again so I can be like, ma'am, you're being rude. Oh, why are you calling me ma'am? Oh, you were acting like a bitch. I just had to assume. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have started doing that.
Moment, and it'll feel real good to do
Old lady at the grocery store is like, sir, sir, sir. And I'm like, yes, sir. Can I help you?
Yeah, literally.
Can I help you,
and
sir?
And it's funny because they want you to freak out, and then they'll be the ones to freak out when it happens.
They get so much angrier.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to it. And they're not used to it. And they don't like it.
Yup. And I don't think they would ever assume somebody would do that, whether it's intentional or not. Like, they don't think someone would misgender them because they're cisgender.
You would think that people would just gender you correctly.
Yeah, you would think people would just be polite.
You would think that. Yeah,
and it's funny,
not the case.
too, if somebody doesn't know, like when older people do it and you correct them and they're like, oh, sorry, and then they like adjust it, like you don't get mad at it. It's just when people are blatantly disrespectful about it. It's just like, you're such a loser. Like,
it's my least favorite thing.
Yeah, like you peaked in high school and you never grew out of that, did you? Like, it's just, I don't know. Anyways, we went on a rant.
We did.
Okay, so there was another topic about gender dysphoria I wanted to touch on and get your perspective on.
Okay.
Because I remember one day we were talking and this clicked something in my brain that helped me understand it on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Because at its core, gender dysphoria is a really bad hormone imbalance.
Correct. Yeah.
So describe what that was like for you and then compare it to when you first took estrogen and your body adjusted to the hormones it needed.
I mean, okay, so there's obviously like a lot of things I could talk about in talking about starting hormones and like the changes that happened. The most clear and obvious immediate symptom was I didn't even know that I was so depressed and was having like suicidal ideation every single day of my life until I took estrogen and that went away. And after like a couple of months of being like,
Gretchen, cut it out. That's my cat. My cat's being a menace.
She does it.
Yeah, our setup's a little white trash right now. It's giving trailer park, but like, you know.
Look, we're doing this on very low budget.
It might not go anywhere, but if it does.
But if you like us so much, we might even be able to upgrade and have money and do things to, have our own studio or something.
Yeah, and have like some cool guests or something.
So I hope you like us.
Gosh. Anyways, continue with the hormone imbalance side of it. And taking estrogen.
So it was just like after I started taking estrogen, after a few months, I just like suddenly realized like, oh wait, I haven't thought about killing myself once. Basically since I started taking estrogen. And then I started tracking it back and like realized like, oh, that was kind of like a go-to thought that I had.
And
like,
when you're used to being suicidal, you don't notice
it. And I just thought I was like depressed or broken. And I was like, I don't know, there's something wrong with me. I just like always want to kill myself. And then literally as soon as I started taking estrogen, literally haven't had the thought.
Yeah. So
literally, it's been at this point over 3 years, have not one time wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's magic.
Isn't that crazy?
That's magic.
I think this is the thing they don't talk about enough when discussing trans people, because people get so caught up in like, oh, you want to wear dresses and makeup. It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, those are like external things that honestly really don't even matter. At its core, it's not just a hormone imbalance, because it's also your brain is wired a certain way and your body came out a certain way.
Yeah.
But your body is craving the opposite hormone. So any cisgender women that are listening to this, by the way, that don't understand gender dysphoria at all, this is the best way I think I could get you to understand. For those of you who have like, it's PMDD, I believe
I think that's right.
It's the one I have where I feel like killing myself for half the month. So, or like PCOS, all of those things are a hormone imbalance, right? So, you know, especially with like PCOS, you have higher levels of testosterone in your body as a cisgender woman, and it just, your hormones are out of whack. And it makes you feel like shit. It makes you get suicidal. You don't like the way you look. Like a lot of women with PCOS, like grow body hair, facial hair. Some of them have full beards. Like, you know, it like acne, all kinds of stuff. It makes you uncomfortable in your body. And and it doesn't make you feel okay. Now times that by 10, where your body is getting the same levels of testosterone that a cisgender man would get, and it needs the opposite. That's essentially what gender dysphoria is. Like, I remember when we were talking about that clicked in my head. And I think cisgender women will be able to understand that more because we have a lot more issues with like hormone imbalances, just partially because our medical industry is fucked, but also our bodies are complex and that happens. But it's literally as if somebody injected the opposite hormones that you need in your body. And now you're just distressed and depressed and you don't feel comfortable in your body. That's like, it's literally, if you put yourself in that scenario, it could help you understand a little better, I feel like.
At least the emotional experience.
Yeah. And probably like a lot of the distressing discomfort in your body because you're like...
Oh, totally.
And it wouldn't even be on the same level, but like it's, probably the best way you could put yourself in a person's shoes that is trans.
Yeah. And then there's plenty of other like benefits or side effects or whatever of like starting HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Like just solely based on which hormone it is that you're taking. Like from being on basically nothing but testosterone my whole life and then switching to estrogen, I noticed that I had a lot more access to my emotions. I was more able to acknowledge, like pre-estrogen, basically any feeling I had would just immediately change to anger. Like it was like anger was the only socially acceptable way to express emotions as a quote man. So that was just sort of my like natural go-to response to having any feeling was just to immediately get mad about it. And then I would have to like sit there and be like, okay, so obviously what I'm feeling is anger, but what is beneath that? And it would take me like hours or sometimes days of like sitting there and like processing through and tracking back and trying to trace cause and effect,
trying to figure out why you're
trying to figure out like what are my feelings even? Like what am I even feeling? And I don't know if that's something that all men on testosterone are experiencing or if that's like specific to trans women who are overloaded with testosterone. I just know my experience on that, which is like I was incapable of knowing what my feelings were. And then as soon as I started taking estrogen, not like immediately, but like within a couple of weeks, once the like levels sort of balanced out, I was like, oh wow, as soon as I have a feeling, I know what it is. And I'm like more easily able to cry. I'm more easily able to like process through a feeling and like push it to the side and move on with my life.
Which says a lot about how we teach kids to process emotions because we just kind of teach girls, oh, you're just really emotional all the time, whatever, like the weaker sex and you're just emotional. And with boys, it's like boys don't cry, boys don't have feelings. And I think
boys have just as many feelings. They're just told they can't have them, so they express it the only way that they can, which is throwing a fucking tantrum.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could say that on YouTube, but whatever.
Yeah, you could say whatever. We can bleep stuff out too. We'll like read all the terms or whatever. They're things that you can't say, and we'll figure it out. But it's interesting because like based on like I only have one trans guy friend that I'm currently like close with, and we talk. But out of the trans guys I have talked to or guys I've watched on the internet, from what I understand, when they start taking testosterone, it does kind of like mute the emotions a little bit. And I know the way you described testosterone before you transitioned, it was like kind of like you couldn't identify the emotions. Right. I think testosterone just kind of mutes your emotions a little bit.
It's but like your emotions are at the bottom of like a murky, dark lake.
Yeah.
And you have to like sift around and be like, where is it? And then like taking estrogen just made it like clear water.
Yeah. And
oh, it's that. I can see it. It's right there.
And I think a lot of the way we also like raise boys in general too is just like, oh, like ignore your emotions. And I feel like between the two genders, that's the worst thing we could be doing.
Literally the worst thing.
I think estrogen makes it easier for you to identify your emotions naturally. And since it doesn't come as easy to men, we should be like, hey, when you're feeling like this, it means you feel this way. Yeah. And this is a way you could process it.
It's one of the very few things.
Just, just stacking up inside of you until you explode. It's just not, emotional intelligence is so important. And we don't teach it to half of the demographic.
Which is crazy.
And that's why we have all these crazy dudes walking around starting wars and blowing shit up and raping people and or R-wording, graping. We got to figure that out. We got to get that together.
Yeah.
We'll do some, I'll bleep some shit out later.
I mean, basically all of the bad things that people are so angry at men for doing is the direct cause of patriarchy raising men in such a way that they are not allowed to have or express emotions in any real or healthy way. And they don't have real friendships, and they basically try to find a romantic partner, and then they rely on their romantic partner to be their supporter, their emotional support, their mother, their therapist,
punching bag sometimes.
Their punching bag. Like suddenly, the role of the woman is to take on every single thing that the man is incapable of doing anywhere else in his life.
Yeah, because we've disabled
which is
that
not
man.
Fair at all. Not
Put
to
it closer to you.
Not to him.
There you go.
Not to her. Not to anyone.
Yeah, it's just
it's wild.
Yeah. And it doesn't work anymore. Like, if we're going to progress as a society and actually get somewhere and, like, people are happy with their lives and, like, you know, we're discovering things, like, as humanity, like, that whole idea comes from a time of, like, survival where, like, there was crazy shit going on. There's other men over here that might be dangerous, and there's, like, wild beasts and natural disaster. And it's like, sure, maybe, like, back then when we were cave people, yeah, you don't really need to sit down your boys and teach them how to process their emotions. We weren't even there yet. You know what I mean? Like, we're still kind of...
The other thing is, like, maybe not cave people, but, like, as soon as we started settling into, like, I don't know if tribe is the acceptable term anymore, but, like, tribes, communities, like, boys were allowed to have feelings and express their feelings, and, like, things, generally speaking, at least within the tribe, were much healthier. Like, they weren't really having problems with, like, sexual assault or, like, violence, like, in the not even close to the same levels that we're seeing now. And the only time you'd actually see it is if there was conflict with, like, another tribe.
Yeah.
And, like, if we could just expand the tribe mentality of, like, take care of each other, everyone is there to support each other, and expand that to a global scale now that we know that we are all one species and one people, like, we could really solve a lot of these problems by just teaching everyone emotional intelligence.
Yeah, it's crazy how we don't value emotional intelligence, and it is so important.
And if it's difficult for you to access your emotions, maybe you've got a hormone imbalance. Maybe what you're experiencing is gender dysphoria. I think a lot of people who are diagnosed with, like, when people are, like, diagnosed with depression?
I think it's just like clinical depression,
just like
right?
clinical depression.
Yeah.
I think a solid percentage of those times, what they actually have might just be gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
It could also be some other imbalance that they have, something in the endocrine system, something going on in there.
Hormones do a lot to your emotions and psyche. People don't realize. It's kind of like when I was a kid and I started going through puberty, that was the worst time of my life because my hormones were all out of whack. I'd started my period, you know, like all that shit's getting crazy. And then, like, I want to kill myself, and I'm not 100% sure why.
Yeah.
I was cutting myself when I was that age. Like, and, like, yeah, you could, like, blame some external situations, but, like, overall, like, the core of that problem was I didn't know how to handle my emotions, and my hormones were out of whack, so it was making my emotions skyrocket, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a problem.
And sometimes it's not even something as deep as gender dysphoria or being gay or anything. Sometimes it's just you aren't, like, talking about things you're going through.
Right.
And we don't encourage, especially not dudes, but, like, people in general, we live in a society where it's like if you talk about your problems and try to work through them, it's like, oh, like, you know, pick yourself up and, like, get over it. And it's just, that's not a
I mean, that's the premise of The Sopranos.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Nobody can know I'm in therapy. They're all going to call me a prick or something, you know?
Yeah.
Or a word that I just don't want to say.
Yeah. The F slur.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably even what they say on the show. But, like, I just don't want to say it here.
I think there's also this myth that, like, if men are experiencing their emotions and dealing with them that it like makes them feminine or gay. And it's
Yeah,
just like,
there
it's
is
not like
that
dealing with
idea.
your feelings means you're sitting there sobbing in like the fetal position. Like when I used to go to therapy, I need to start again.
But that's how men see it
Like-
because that's the only way they've ever actually experienced it.
Yeah, exactly, because they're letting it build up and then they're just exploding with emotions.
yeah.
If you deal with your like, it doesn't always look like you're having a meltdown. Sometimes you're just kind of working through
The
something.
vast majority of the time, it's not a meltdown. If you're dealing with your emotions in a healthy way.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not having
if you're not
meltdowns.
letting them build up and explode, like if you're addressing them and
You're letting them out like a balloon. You
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yep.
You know, you save some for later, but like you can just let out a little, move
Yeah.
on with your day.
And it's funny too because they say, "Oh, like men are the more logical." It's like dealing with your emotions is a logical process. You're thinking through what you're feeling. It's balancing it out. Like,
Yeah. Yep. No, but I don't know if you knew this, but having emotions is gay.
oh yeah, you're gonna want to suck
Yeah.
on a chode. I gotta watch what I say. We're gonna put this on different platforms. Oh my god. I gotta get more professional. I cuss like a oh man.
Yeah, every time I've ever had a feeling, I just immediately wanted to suck.
I almost said I'll say it and I'll bleep it out. I almost said suck on a chode, but
That is what you said. You said it. I heard you.
I just didn't finish it because I'm like, we gotta put this on
I got the whole
YouTube
word.
and whatever
Yeah,
else.
whatever. Fuck it. We'll bleep it.
Our account's gonna get banned first day if I don't. Oh, I have so much work to do editing this
Yeah.
audio now.
No, it's interesting because like I've literally never had the urge to suck on any male parts. So it's incredible the amount of times that I used to get called gay and now I get told that I'm gay, but every time anyone's told me that, they mean it differently. It's wild. Things are wild.
Yeah, most people just want to put people in a box
Yeah.
so they can process it from their like comfortable little bubble of what they think people are. And it's just like, I don't know, if you're not harming another person, it shouldn't matter. I don't know why people like look at certain people and go, oh,
Yeah.
and it's just like, this person isn't harming anybody. They're just living their life. Why do you care?
Yeah. And you can't even fit me in a box. I don't fit in a box. If anything, I'm like one of those fancy vases or like a decanter set
You do have
like,
a curvature to
with
you.
flowers
Yeah.
on the outside.
Kind of like,
Maybe like an air pocket in the middle. Just like,
yeah.
you know, sort of. But like, good luck getting me in a box, you know?
Yeah, no, you're not very box shaped, so it doesn't
I'm
work.
not a box.
Nope.
I'm not.
Me either. I'm too long, you know?
They make long boxes, but
I don't know. I'm
what do I
pretty
know?
long.
anyway, we're off again.
Okay, yeah, we're going to, yeah, we both have I have way worse ADHD than you, but you know.
Yeah.
Sting. And this is me doing good. I took my meds today, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep. No, as the resident autist of the group, I will maintain our focus and keep us on
Yes.
track
Yep.
as best I can.
That's why we're the dynamic duo.
The perfect combo.
I say a bunch of bullshit and you're like, this is cool. Let's organize it a little better.
I really like the core of what you're saying. I think you could phrase it in a way that other people would understand.
Nah, I'll just let you translate.
Or exactly, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, so another key component for me,
I'm a little sweaty. Hold on.
brag about it.
Continue.
Wow, you're getting a show. Normally people pay big money for this.
I know. My shoulders.
Wow.
My hoe ass shoulders.
You're welcome, YouTube.
Yeah, you're welcome for my naked shoulders.
This
Get your
is
mind out of the
unbelievable.
gutter.
I,
Sexualizing me and my shoulders.
look, I'm just saying. God, what was I saying? Okay, another. Were you like passing the baton?
Oh, no.
back to me?
I was waiting for whatever you were going to say.
Great. Okay. Another key element for me in being a closeted trans person is that I basically, in order to deal with the dysphoria that I was feeling, I had to sort of go like, I had to be regressive in the way that I viewed gender and sexuality and like all of those things. Needing to believe in the gender hierarchy and gender norms as they were pitched and presented to me. Like, I had to believe all of the rules around what men are supposed to do and what women are supposed to do. And I used to have arguments with kids in like the lunchroom at school about like, you know, once I finally understood that some people like got surgery to like change their sex, I used to get in arguments about like down to the DNA side of things and like literally be like, look, you can change yourself physically, but like if I was to take your DNA and clone you and bring you back to life as a new person, like you wouldn't have the preferred genitals that you switched to. You would come back the way you were before. And
which, who the fuck is cloning people to prove a point about trans? You know what I mean? When
I mean, a lot of people, but that is the argument. Like, a
Yeah.
lot of people are like, well, you know, if we ever dug up your skeleton in a million years, like, scientists would just decide you were a man based on the size of your bones
and
or
who
whatever.
fucking cares?
Because honestly, who does care?
Who fucking cares?
Because honestly, who does care? And I eventually, it took me another 15 years to get to the place where I was like, I don't think that actually matters. Because what matters is that I'm happy in my body and that I'm living my life authentically as myself. And I also genuinely believe that if you were to clone me and bring me back, despite the fact that I would be assigned male at birth once again, I also believe that that baby would have gender dysphoria and would probably also, given the right circumstances, transition.
Yeah, because it's got the same starting
Because it's
point.
the same brain, DNA, blah, 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 blah. Unless there's water to the argument that, like, what makes you trans is what hormones you're exposed to while in the womb.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if,
Which
it was a different makeup.
Really fast, elaborate on that, because I used to think it had to do with, like, you were given the wrong chromosomes, which I found out that's not even the thing they think causes it.
Like, so real quick aside about chromosomes, like...
Also make this closer to your mouth, sorry.
Real quick aside about chromosomes is that they don't play, like, it's not black and white in the way that everybody says. Like, it's not XX is girl, XY is boy. There are people with XY who are girls.
Oh yeah, Sawyer syndrome is a thing.
And not even trans people, like people who
Just
are born
cisgender people
assigned female at birth who have a Y chromosome.
Yep.
There are people who don't have an X chromosome or don't have a Y chromosome who are assigned male at birth.
Yeah.
Like,
it's called Sawyer syndrome. If you don't know what that is, Google it, look into it. But yeah,
there's
so that
XXY,
argument's not even accurate.
There's XXY, there's XXX, there's XYY. Like, there's all these different combinations, and there is no rule, hard and fast, there's no 100% rule that guarantees what your genitals will look like based on those chromosomes. The reason people believe that is because we only mapped our genome in the early 90s. We've only been studying our genes and our hormones and our DNA, not the hormones, but like our DNA specifically, for 30 years. Like, people were just making associations. They were like, oh, it tends to be that when you have XX, it tends to be a girl. And when you have XY, it tends to be a boy. That is an average. It is not a rule. So the fact that it comes down to chromosomes for so many people literally just means they stopped learning biology in 4th grade, and then biology evolved beyond that. And if you ask any biologist on the planet, they will tell you, yeah, it's not really that simple. It's not in any species, not in humans, not in plants, not in any mammalian species is there a hard and fast rule about the specific chromosome that carries X and Ys and what gender the baby is.
Yeah. And everything's a spectrum too. Like, there's not really one, like, that's the thing. It's just drilled into our heads as a society so hard that, like, oh, men, women, and it's very black and white, and you wear this and you do, and it's just like
nothing is black and white.
Nothing is, and it
also
doesn't matter.
Accepting the bell curve as normality.
Yes, because it is a bell curve. It's there.
All things are a bell curve.
Yeah,
whether we like it or not. Maybe sometimes it's an inverted bell curve, but we be getting bell curves.
You're like, yeah, we're bell curving it up.
Alexander Graham belling all over the place.
That made me want bell peppers. I don't know why.
Well, we just keep saying Bell.
We should make fajitas later.
You're
Yeah.
probably hungry or whatever.
Yeah.
I have the stuff for fajitas.
Oh, we gotta do it.
Yeah, I'd be down. So anyway, aside from chromosomes, back to the theory that your hormone exposure in the womb is what causes being transgender. So there is a theory that your mother's hormonal fluctuations while in the womb, perhaps at a specific phase in development, again, this has not been studied long enough for us to have any sort of hard and fast truth to it, to have enough evidence to say that this is definitely the truth, but there seems to be evidence that if any fetus at a specific phase in development is exposed to a heightened level of estrogen, your body will grow in such a way that you will always expect and crave that amount of estrogen for the rest of your life. Same with testosterone. If your mom has a testosterone imbalance and has too much testosterone, it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, your body's going to be like, I want testosterone.
Yeah, this is where I developed. This is what I knew when I came into existence.
Yes.
This is what my body needs.
This is what my body is used to. This is what my body expects. And it's probably around the time when you're developing like your endocrine system, which is the system that deals with your hormones and transports your hormones throughout your body. So as that part of your body is developing, if you're exposed to more than one or the other hormone, you might just need that much more of it for the rest of your life.
And it's sad because this is just a theory because they haven't been able to study it because we're still arguing over whether or not trans people are
Correct.
real and
Yes.
exist and deserve to be treated as human beings. It's just so annoying.
Yes.
We could discover not even just about trans people, we could discover things about cisgender people and their hormone imbalances and like how they operate naturally and like there's so much we could be discovering about humans in general and how to make this an easier thing for people to live with and where it originates and how we could understand it better. Like we could be studying this shit instead of arguing who's in the fucking wrong bathroom.
Yeah. I think
Like-
most people probably need some amount of hormone therapy to feel better. And it might not even be the opposite. Like if you're not trans, like if you're a cis woman, you might just need a little bit more estrogen.
Yeah.
If you're a cis man, you might just need a little bit more testosterone. And a lot of dudes are out there. If you go listen to the Joe Rogans of the world, a lot of dudes are already injecting themselves with extra testosterone to feel more like men.
Yeah,
So, like,
literally.
if that's not gender affirming care, if that's not hormone replacement therapy, like what the fuck is that?
Or like women that go through menopause, like cisgender women that go through menopause and then their hormones get all fucking out of whack. A lot of them go and seek hormone replacement therapy at that age so they don't feel distressed. Like cisgender people, what's the word I'm trying to, fuck.
Was it fuck?
They, I don't know, it wasn't, but that one comes out easily. Cisgender people also seek out hormone replacement therapy and gender affirming care.
100%.
Like getting your makeup done or like getting your eyebrows waxed.
Getting
like,
a surgery.
yeah, dudes taking protein
your
and getting
boobs
jacked
done.
at the gym. You know what I mean?
It's all gender
Dudes get
affirming
like
care.
shit for their hairline when it starts to fall out, so they feel like they're younger male self to make.
Buying a product that just is called like the man thing for men.
Yeah,
Like-
those. What are those butt wipes for dudes called dude wipes?
Yep.
They had to
Yeah.
market them to dudes
Yep.
so they would wipe their ass.
Correct. Yeah, they're like men won't.
Like
men
it's
won't
okay, you
use
can
this
wipe your ass. You won't want
unless
to.
it
You won't want to suck a
specifically
chode
says,
after this because they're dude wipes. They're for men.
These are the straightest ass wipes you ever saw.
They're not pink and floral smelling. These are just for guys. Smells like frankincense and sweat.
You've never even experienced a clean ass like this until you've had dude wipes. If you haven't had a dude wipe up your ass, then you haven't lived.
Dude wipes, if you're watching this, you should sponsor us. Help us pay
It
our
would
rent. We're
honestly be
poor.
hilarious if dude wipes sponsored
That would
us.
be amazing.
so
Oh my
funny.
god.
Lady in the Trans, sponsored by
Dude wipes.
When your homie makes a mess and you need to clean up after him, dude wipes.
Did your wife leave you because of those dingleberries on your butt? Well, we have the solution for you. Oh, so we digress. What were we saying?
I mean, we were talking.
Oh, the hormone bath thing. And
We were talking about that. That was like tangential off of my, like, the fact that closeted trans people, like, need to believe in a strict gender hierarchy and gender roles.
Oh, yeah. So I think a lot of that too, because I think a lot of transphobes, they're either closeted homosexuals, closeted transgenders, or they're just straight guys that are attracted to trans women and they hate it for some reason.
Yeah, because they think it makes them gay.
Yeah.
Because they don't see us as women, they see us as men.
Well, and if they're watching trans porn, it's just like a hot girl with a dick that operates like a dude's dick, and that's not real.
Trans porn is a lie, and it makes us all it treats trans women like we are men.
Yeah. Yep.
Like men with tits and a pretty face.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
And like, that's just not how it works.
It's not.
Like, that's not how sex works. That's not how anything works.
It's not how any of it operates either. Estrogen changes your body so much.
Did you know I have a period?
Oh my God.
It's wild.
Oh yeah, the coochie's bleeding out of this one all the time.
I mean, I don't have the bleeding part.
Yeah, no, I was making a joke because people were going to take it. Oh, you don't need to wear tampons.
Yeah, I don't need to wear tampons.
You and Dylan Mulvaney, how dare you? Yeah.
No, but like my hormones.
You have a cycle.
I have a monthly fluctuating cycle because I'm taking estrogen that trains your body eventually to be on a monthly cycle. And despite the fact that I don't have a uterus, my hormones every month are telling my uterus, hey, it's time to shed the lining because guess what? You're not pregnant. And then my body's like
it doesn't do that, but it's still...
I don't know how to do that. We don't have a lining, but I'll try.
So it just does its version of it.
So it usually just manifests as like gastrointestinal distress and like diarrhea,
which
and
cisgender
wild
women
mood swings.
Yeah.
And like
cisgender women get that too. You know all about the period poops.
I'm never going to claim that my period is the same as or as painful as a cis woman's period, but I am going to say that I have a monthly fluctuating cycle that causes me emotional and physical distress to some degree.
Yep.
Because that is the truth.
No, and we're roommates, so like there'll be times where she's like, oh, my boobs are swollen and they hurt and they're sore, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to start, I'm gonna be on the rag soon, so like, and we're synced up, we're roomies, so like, yeah, it's just the symptoms. You get certain symptoms that you can with the biology that you have, the anatomy.
These are just facts.
Yep. That's one of the only trans female privileges you get is your coochie doesn't bleed. It's one of the only things you got going for you.
I'll take it. Any perk that comes along with being the most hated person in the world.
Just hold on to that one thing you got.
Yep. I'll take any privilege. Thank you.
Yep.
Because I gave up so many.
Yeah. Yep.
I do miss being treated like a human being, even when people hated me.
Yep. Must be nice.
Yeah. It was nice to walk into a room and people were just like, yeah, you're probably cool. And that's not the case anymore. And now I walk into a room and people are like, what are you up to?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And then I talk and they're like, oh, okay, I guess you're just a person. That's fine.
I think that's another thing okay, wait. I know we're all over the place with topics, but that's something I wanted to bring up. I think a lot of cisgender women get angry at trans women specifically when they speak about their issues. Because cis women we have our own set of problems. Being treated as a woman is terrible. It's scary to walk down the street at night. When you're interacting with a man, you're like, what kind of bullshit is this gonna turn into? It's harder to be taken seriously or seen as a person. A lot of the time, you're more sexualized. Not only do you get all of that shit, but if somebody is perceiving you as trans on top of it, they're also treating you as prey and also a threat. Because they're seeing you as a woman, but they're also seeing you as a man because they don't want to see you as that. So It's like you get treated like you're this terrible man that's going to hurt someone, but you're also being treated as prey. So it's like double homicide. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of cisgender...
That's an interesting way of putting it.
And it's like it's a lot of cisgender women that hate trans people, and it's always about trans women. Everyone hates trans women so much more.
Yeah, nobody ever talks about trans men.
No.
They have their own issues, but the government is not pissed off about them.
Well, it takes them like a year before they're muscular and growing a beard and kind of blend in. They're just a bunch of jacked little 5'5" guys,
There's obviously exceptions to that.
There's
plenty of wiggle room. We're not trying
I'm
to
not saying all trans guys are short. I'm sorry. But
trans men do on average tend to be shorter than cis women, and trans women tend to be on average taller than cis men.
Yeah.
Just due to the way, whatever, hormones. I don't know. We haven't figured it out yet. Nobody's studying this.
Which, fun fact, estrogen actually makes you shrink. That's something I didn't know until like this
I've
year.
lost a few inches.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yep. I have.
My feet have shrunk. My hands have shrunk. My ring size has shrunk. I'm just getting I'm a tiny little dainty baby.
Yeah, nope. I would hate that. I like being tall.
I do. I low-key miss the height.
Yeah, it's not. I like being tall.
I did. It was one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And I'm still tall, like especially for a girl, but like, you know, I could be taller.
Yeah, you
I
could
wouldn't
be.
hate it.
Yep.
Oh well.
That's the trade-off. That's what you get.
Yep. I didn't know. I just like went to the doctor and I was like, hey, so I'm trans. I've been trans for a long time, and I already transitioned socially, and I got a job as my new self. So give me hormones. And she was like, wow, normally there's like a whole process before this, but it sounds like you're about as sure as you can be.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's do this. Well, I'll give you hormones right now. And yeah, started taking them, and they basically cured me of all things.
Yep.
Except external hate.
Yeah.
But the internal hate, gone.
And that's the only hate that matters.
I like almost overnight went from thinking I was like the most disgusting, ugly person on the planet to being like, actually, I'm like low-key kind of cute.
Yeah, because you start seeing yourself as what you're supposed to be.
It was like literally overnight.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I just like this better.
You know what? I want to like relate to that in my own way, and it's obviously not on the same level, but like, so the women in my family are naturally very hairy people. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. I am Portuguese, and if you don't know anything about Portuguese, it's kind of like the Greeks and the Italians. It's all the spicy whites, But on average,
Mediterranean.
Southern European, and like pale skin, black body hair, very hairy. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to feel awful about my body hair. Like, I had a unibrow, bushy eyebrows, which wasn't popular in the early 2000s either, so I felt 10 times worse. I could grow a mustache, little chin hairs. I have the hairiest legs, and going through puberty made it worse. And I used to just feel awful. And I remember the first time my mom took me to go get my eyebrows waxed. I'll never forget. We went to this little salon. The lady like laid me down, and like it hurt. She like waxed it. I was like, oh my God. And I remember looking in the mirror after, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I look like a girl now. You know what I mean? And it's obviously not anywhere near on the same level as what you went through, but like little moments like that.
It's the same feeling.
Yeah.
Like, we can acknowledge that that's the same feeling when you're like, oh, I look like I'm supposed to look.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
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 And for like the cisgender dudes that might be watching this right now, if you don't think you can relate, I want you to imagine you just start growing massive tits, like something wrong
against your will.
Yeah, and like it's not even because you like gain weight, like your body just starts growing boobs. Like it's like Fight Club. Remember what was the disease? There is like, if you haven't seen Fight Club, there is a scene where the main character goes to the support group because he's addicted to going to support groups, and there's one for like some type of cancer. I think it's testicle cancer. And there's a guy in the group that has had his testicles removed because they were cancerous, and they're like dying of this horrible thing. And this big giant dude, he's grown boobs because his hormones are now all out of whack because he's removed his testicles, and he's just crying and just distressed because he's growing boobs. And like, if that happened to you as a cisgender dude, you would feel distressed as well, like it's things like that. Or it's the same thing with like dudes that grow kind of a patchy beard or like a thinner beard, and they feel like bad about it. Like if you had a fuller beard, you might feel more like yourself. It's the same idea. Like you don't have to be trans to relate to trans people and understand a like fraction of what they're going through. It's not hard to like empathize if you put yourself in this situation,
Take that one thing that you hate about your appearance and just imagine that that's how you felt about everything about your appearance.
Yeah, just times it by like 100, and that's where you're at.
Yeah.
And then imagine you fix those things and people start treating you like shit about it. Like that would suck, know?
And they just start deciding that you're like a pedophile or something. Like
Yeah.
what? This has nothing to do with
Yeah.
like what are you talking about?
That whole narrative, because they did that with homosexuals 20 plus years ago, and and now that's not really as much of a talking point with gay people. They've moved on now to trans people, and it's just like, that's not how you identify a pedophile. There's not one like demographic of people that are pedophiles except for pedophiles.
Except for priests.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Sorry.
Maybe our next episode
Sorry,
will be
not
about
sorry.
the church. Yeah, sorry, not nope. It's a real statistic. That's the demographic you should be worried about. But
Look, I've been assaulted by 2 people, and both of them were religious leaders, so I don't know what to tell you.
And that's not even like a thing that you can't help. You choose to be a priest, and a lot of people choose to be priests so they can be predatory, and no one will pay attention to it.
That is true.
You'd think we'd be
they
worried
know they're
about
gonna
that.
get away with it.
And even just going around pointing at every priest, going, "I bet you R-word children," like that doesn't actually fix it either. Like, when someone expresses or is doing something like that, then you address it. But
actually address it.
Yeah.
Don't just slap them on the wrist and send them to a new church.
Right? Literally. Give them a pay raise or whatever.
Don't do that anymore. Anyway, here's a bunch of new kids.
Yeah, literally. Literally, that's how it gets handled, too. It's crazy.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the only other things I wrote down about, like, being closeted and trans is that there's usually a lot of like fantasy wish fulfillment, usually via like role-playing games. Like a lot of trans girls
Dungeons and Dragons.
play Dungeons and Dragons or other types of fantasy things because they're able to like live out the fantasy version of what they wish their life was.
A lot of trans people, before they transition, I've noticed they grow up as like nerds because you're playing video games and other things
It's like
that
the
help you
safe
escape.
place to.
You're picking an avatar.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of a gender neutral thing to be a nerd. Like if you're a
Yep.
girl and a nerd, people like hate on you more, but you can still kind of do that by yourself.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And like, I'd play video games and I'd be like, I'm going to play as the girl character. like I was doing something naughty, but also super exciting. Also generally in like closeted trans people who take a really long time to come out, there's some sort of belief that eventually comes about that the other gender or your preferred gender or your actual gender is for some reason bad or worse. And like that's not exactly what my experience was, because like I was a staunch like vocal feminist from like age 17, and I was like reading feminist literature and like trying to for a long time I was like, I'm just gonna be like the good ally, and I'm just gonna be the cishet white man, and I'll never get to be my actual self, but like that's fine because at least I'll be able to fight for other people and I'll use my privilege for good. And but then at a certain point you realize like women don't want a cishet white man to speak for them.
exactly. And also outside of like what they want, like you're not being yourself. Like,
yeah,
like grow a pair of Chloe, come out as a woman,
literally.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Eventually.
I'm sure it's a hard thing to like do, but it's also like, you do a lot more good being yourself, like being your true self so people can get to know you because you're cool as shit. And I don't like most people. So like, I think it's very important that you're being yourself and people get to see you.
Well,
and,
I appreciate you. But yeah, and there's also usually some amount of like trauma around anytime you actually did try to self-express. Like there was a vivid memory I have of being in high school and having thought about it for a really long time, deciding to just start telling people that I was a lesbian because I liked girls, and I wasn't going to go so far as to say I was a girl, but I was quite sure that I was not a man.
Yeah, you're like, I identify with this and I don't know why. Yeah.
It's like, I'm pretty sure. And literally 100% of the people that I told that I was a lesbian had very visceral,
what do you
very
mean?
negative responses
Yeah.
to the concept that I might consider myself such a thing. So
Yeah.
I quickly put that back, and I was like, all right, that'll just be something I believe in my head, and I won't say it anymore.
Yeah. And back then, too, like, no one knew what trans people were, so they couldn't even connect the dots. So they were probably like, this guy's tripping. Like,
Yes, literally, yeah. Or there was a time in like first grade, maybe second grade, where my best friend in the whole world was this girl who, I'm not going to say her name just in case. I'll just call her Tina. We're just going to say her name's Tina. So Tina was like my best friend in the world. I would like write books, and she was an illustrator, so she would do the artwork for my books, and we were together all day, every single day. We would like go on field trips together, and they'd be like, all right, everybody find a buddy, and like we were buddies. Like we were just like inseparable, best friends in the whole universe. And then one day, I went out, we were at recess, and I went over to go hang out with her, and she like sprinted away from me. And I was like, okay, that's weird. So I just like followed her to wherever she went, and I got there, and then she sprinted away again. And I was like, is this a game? Like, is this a game we're playing? Like, what
Yeah,
are we,
am I
like,
not-
what is this? And like, finally, I like, she was out of breath or whatever, and I was out of breath, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening right now? And she was like, well, the other girl said that I'm not allowed to be your friend because you're a boy, and girls aren't supposed to be friends with boys. And it literally just shattered me. And I was like, I just remember like looking at her, and then like a group of girls that were behind her, and they were all like watching to like make sure she did what she was supposed to do.
which is insane. Because even if you weren't a trans girl and you were genuinely just a dude that wanted to be friends with one of the girls, like,
Right.
it's because even with cisgender people, we do make that a rule.
I know.
And like,
Yeah, it's wild.
Like the idea of like, oh, can men and women be friends? It's just like,
Of course we can.
yeah, we could if people
Yeah.
would stop being weird about it and hypersexualizing women. That's a big part of it. You know what I mean? But like,
Yep.
yeah, like you can just be friends even if you are opposite genders,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
And if there
Facts.
were less rules like that in place, people that actually have gender dysphoria would probably figure it out faster if there's a certain way they're connecting
But
with
that's
girls over boys and
why-
vice versa.
But
Like,
that's why we have the rule that boys and girls aren't allowed to commingle, because they don't want people to figure it out, because they don't want people to figure anything out, because then they break the system.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We need a yarn chart for all of this sometimes because it's like we're
Sometimes,
talking about
yeah.
one thing. Like you could talk
It
about
spirals
race,
out. It spirals out
religion,
forever.
anything, and it all comes back
all ties
to
in.
a system that we have in place
yeah.
that isn't working for us as people anymore.
And we'll touch on race in a minute when we get back to JK Rowling. 'cause-
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things we could touch on with
So
this.
anyway, so that's the list that I've made of symptoms and signs of being trans and closeted. You wish to be the opposite gender as a kid. You have a strict adherence to gender roles while you are in the closet. You have some sort of fantasy wish fulfillment that you do via role playing, writing, something, and you have some sort of belief or trauma around gender and the reason that maybe you can't be the other thing or shouldn't be the other thing and whatever. Right? Are we
Yep.
good? We check.
Yep.
We are
We
understanding.
got through- yes.
We're all on the same page. Okay. So here's how JK Rowling exhibits literally all of those things in so many ways.
JK Rowling is a dude.
JK Rowling is a trans man who will never figure it out. But I genuinely do not like to try to put people and like diagnose people as trans.
And it's not good. You shouldn't do it in your everyday
shouldn't
life.
do it. You
It's for
shouldn't.
people to figure
Yes,
out on their own.
People should, unless they have spent their entire billion-dollar industry trying to eradicate the existence of trans people from the planet
Because they're salty that they're never going to come out.
because they're salty that they're never going to figure out their own
Yes,
life.
J.K. Rowling has done a lot of harm towards trans
J.K. Rowling
people.
has done exclusively harm.
Like
towards
exclusively
trans people
harm, and it's like
for decades now.
the call is coming from inside the house. You're one of them, and you're salty about it. This is a really common theme, specifically with trans men. By the way, I just want to make a comment of that because I knew a trans guy in high school, and I had another friend We'll call her Ashley, I guess. She came out as a trans woman right out of high school, and the trans guy I knew, who was not out of the closet yet, still like not really presenting as female. I wouldn't say that. When I first met him, I wasn't sure what gender he was. That's, he used to hate on her so bad when she first came out and was super transphobic to her and would talk shit about her all the time. And I remember Ashley called it and was like, yeah, so this guy that we both know is a trans guy. He might not ever come out. If he does, it's going to take him a minute, but he is angry at me because he wants to come out and doesn't feel like it's right. And it's funny because he's very conservative in his views. I don't know if that's changed. It's been years since he finally came out, but I remember one day I got on social media and he wrote a long post coming out like, I'm starting my hormones. This is something I really need, but I'm still not with the woke agenda, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, dude, this is what I mean. Trans dudes are fucking dudes. You're acting like every other dude. How? But I've noticed it's specifically a thing with trans men, and I don't know why, because it's much easier for them to pass quickly. The way they blend in with society.
I think there's a bitterness to being treated like a woman.
With men, you think?
Yeah, like if you're a man and you like internally know that, and you look out and you see that men are revered, venerated, on top of the world, in charge of everything, and you are every day being sexualized, maybe harassed, maybe abused, treated as a lesser, told that you can't amount to as many things. I think there's a festering resentment that grows towards men and towards women.
Yeah.
Because of that weird dichotomy. I think that it's a different thing with trans women, because like at least you're being treated like you're better than everyone else, and there's like sort of an imposter syndrome thing going on where you're like, but like you're only doing this because of a thing that's not even real, and you don't even know that it's not real, but I know that it's not real, and like everything is a lie. Like I think everything is a lie. But if you're a trans man, you're just like, okay, well, everything is a lie, and also you're punishing me for no reason, when if you actually knew who I was, you would be rewarding me and treating me like I was better than everyone else, and that's bullshit.
It's like the salty thing of I've been treated as a female my whole life.
Yeah.
And like, fuck you for even choosing to, come out and
to also,
that.
and to be treated that way by men who are the people that you are.
Yeah.
You're like, bro. Like, not me.
Yeah, because you kind of want a piece of what they have too.
Right. I think there's just a festering sort of resentment that comes from that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you might be right about that.
It doesn't apply to everyone, and obviously there's different situations and different upbringings and different outcomes that create different things. But I just have to imagine, if I put myself in those shoes and everybody thought I was a woman all the time, and I knew that I wasn't one, and I wanted to be a man, and like was a man, that would be what I was feeling.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's funny too, because I remember in school, this guy in particular, he used to like, kids would pick on him, but it was just like, oh, you're a girl that looks like a boy, it's weird. Like, it was like that kind of a thing. And I wonder if there was like a salty thing of him presenting as very male for being somebody who hadn't transitioned at all. And as soon as you hear the kid talk, it's like, okay, this I guess is a girl. And then people would be like, you're a weird girl that's like ugly and looks like a boy. And it's just, I'm sure there was some saltiness from that as well.
And if you're like, quote unquote, a woman, and you're not following the rules and like presenting femininely, you're harassed even more.
Oh yeah,
than your fellow women.
Oh yeah, the
so
more femme you are, the worse you get.
Hate,
yeah,
and you're like, I should be being treated the best, but I'm being treated the worst.
Yeah.
What is happening?
It's like I'm doing the opposite of like what I want to be, and I'm still getting treated like shit. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just am trans.
Yeah.
And you're a lady.
And I am lady. Or am I?
Okay. So here we go. Let's break this down.
Okay.
JK Rowling has explicitly stated that she wished she was a boy growing up, and she felt like she should be a boy, and she felt like she was a boy. She has explicitly stated this in several interviews. You can look them up. Maybe I'll even link to them if I'm not feeling lazy when we post this thing.
Yes, which is and this is, I also want to make a note of that, because a lot of girls, I think, feel like it's not that they want to be a boy, but they want the privileges that come with being perceived.
Right.
So
just acknowledge that, like, clearly it's better.
yeah, definitely.
Clearly you have more advantages in life.
But sitting there thinking about it all the time is a thing, which that on its own could just be, it's like, if that was
Could
the
be
only
nothing.
thing we detected, we wouldn't even be having this episode.
Could be nothing. Could just be a single thing.
Yeah, but
But also,
there's more.
Harry Potter has the same birthday as JK Rowling, as you stated at the beginning.
Which is
JK Rowling created this character and made him up all on her own and decided that the best possible birth date for the most special boy in the world was her own birthday.
Yeah, which that was the thing that really solidified it for me when I found that out the other day and made that connection. I'm like, you wrote this fictional character that like created you and your career, and you had the same birthday. It feels like you were creating a version of yourself through fantasy, like you were saying a lot of trans people in the closet do.
That's why I said that part.
It's like
It's wish fulfillment. It's wish fulfillment.
JK Rowling was living the life.
She's living vicariously through a character she created for herself because
it's who she really wanted to be.
She really wanted to be. And she picked the name Harry because in several other interviews, she said that Harry was her favorite boy name. And if she was ever a boy, that's one of the names that she would want to be.
Yep. She wanted to be the boy who lived, and she won't even let him out to breathe. It's real sad.
Oh, that is sad.
Yep.
So she also has poorly constructed female characters in her books. There's not really a lot of girl characters who feel really like whole people. Mostly the men are pretty well defined. Almost all the main characters in Harry Potter are men.
Yeah, and then like Hermione Granger, right? Which
Hermione
I actually
Granger,
think was a pretty helpful female character in
best
the story.
female character.
Yeah.
And everyone hates her.
Yeah.
In the story. Not outside of the story, but in
Yeah.
the story. All
Everyone
the
hates
teachers
her.
think she's annoying. All of her classmates are like, ugh, shut up. Stop being smart. Like, try to keep her in line.
Which now that I'm thinking about, I almost wonder if the way she wrote Hermione Granger was like, this is how I feel like I'm perceived. Because all of the like, I'm a smart person is like a stereotypical like, oh, if you're smart, you're masculine or whatever, which is stupid. That's just a social construct.
Yeah.
Women are smart.
She has
Sometimes men are smart.
explicitly stated in interviews that Hermione is the author insert character. I think Hermione is the character that she thought that she actually was, and Harry is who she wished that she was.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other pieces of evidence, other people argue with this one, but like she specifically shortened her name from Joanne Kathleen to JK because she wanted to appear more masculine to sell more books, which, you know, that was recommended by the publishers, but she also was like, hell yeah, let's not tell anyone I'm a girl.
She also wrote another line of books under the name Robert.
I was just getting
And
to
you're
that.
literally, sorry, I
Yeah,
jumped the gun on that.
That was my next point.
Because that was one of those other things where I'm like, you could debunk that because a lot of women aren't taken seriously when they do stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can be anonymous and perceived as male, people might actually take your shit seriously. Yeah. So you could say that, but
So
it's also like, everyone knows who you are and you're still writing books under male names.
She is one of the wealthiest, most successful writers alive. And she decided to write an entire series of books. I think there's 7 or 8 of them at this point. All of
the
which
name Robert.
She has chosen to call herself Robert Galbraith, which is a very specific name because on the one hand, she has also said Robert is her other favorite boy name apart from Harry, and if she was a boy, she would want to be Robert because Robert F. Kennedy is one of her idols. And Robert Galbraith, Robert Galbraith, happens to also be the name of an American psychiatrist who pioneered the idea that all mental disorders, any kind of maybe gender dysphoria that you might be feeling, are not actually real things, but they are, in fact, caused by some physical deformation in your body. That
I didn't know this.
There's something physically wrong with your brain, and it makes you feel like maybe you're supposed to be something else.
The mental gymnastics this guy is doing, that's crazy.
And Robert Galbraith, the name she chose for herself as an author, also invented electroshock gay conversion therapy.
Oh my God, just come out of the closet, JK Rowling. Just stop. It's stupid. Good fucking God.
He literally invented electrocuting people straight.
I don't think I realized this. That was give me a second to just man.
Go ahead and process this information.
It's like,
this is the name she chose. This is the name he chose for himself.
J.K.
as
Rowling.
a writer.
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling,
just
a.k.a.
come out of the closet.
Robert Galbraith. The name you've been living as for the last 10, 12 years.
Bro.
Is the name of a man who pioneered the theory that there's something physically wrong with your brain making you think that you're trans and decided that the best way to cure you is electrocuting you.
The best way to cure you, dude, is come out of the fucking closet. You'll feel much better.
That's what I'm saying.
And you're rich, so you're not going to get hate crimed on the same level. You're good. It's
but at this point, she would. She has built for the last 15 years a massive audience of women, specifically gender critical women, who very much believe men are bad. And if she comes forward and says, I'm a man, that flies in the face of everything that she has preached and proselytized for the last 15 years of her life.
Yeah, and it might be the better thing to do.
It would be the better thing to do.
Because guess what?
I think it would fix a lot of problems for a lot of people.
Yeah.
If she would just come out and be like, the reason I've been saying all this is because I'm a man and I'm really upset about it because I was abused by men and now I'm realizing that I am a man, but because I was abused by men, I genuinely believe men are predators. All of them, unanimously, across the board, men are predators. So for me to accept that I am a man would mean to accept that either I am a predator or I'm wrong about all men being predators. And both of those things are very large hurdles to have to overcome when your entire current income is based around the idea that transgender is a bullshit made up thing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's a real bucket of worms she got herself in over there.
Yeah, you could have just stayed off of Twitter and gone to a therapist and figured out what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But you've caused harm to trans people everywhere. And women, like cisgender women. Oh my God. So I want to talk about the bathroom bullshit that
Let's talk about the bathroom bullshit.
So
I love talking about bathrooms.
The biggest problem
it's with
causing fear mongering around the bathroom bullshit. It harms trans women because if they're being forced to go in the men's room, they're going to get assaulted like crazy. There's going to be more crimes against women because trans women are going to the bathroom, and cisgender women that might have certain features are going to get transvestigated in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Maybe by an angry boyfriend that now wants to beat the shit out of her because he's perceiving her as male, and it's a cisgender woman. So not only are you not protecting women as a whole, but you're also putting both trans and cisgender women in harm's way.
Into greater risk.
Yeah. Because now there's
oh
man, the whole thing is so frustrating and people eat it up. People eat this shit up. It's just propaganda and distractions and bullshit. And it's causing more problems.
Actual evidence of this in the schools that have installed like strict bathroom policies around you must use the bathroom that is correlated with your assigned gender at birth. In those schools, 70% of trans kids have been harassed or assaulted while using the bathroom since those policies have been instituted.
That doesn't surprise me because it's not actually helpful. It's harmful.
70% of children are being assaulted in the bathroom because they're not allowed to use the correct bathroom. When people are allowed to use the correct bathroom, do you know the rates of assaults that are happening in those bathrooms? They're
Much
like less than 1%.
Yeah.
They're like less than a fraction of 1%.
And get this, the assaults that are happening are not the trans people doing
It's not the trans people doing it. There's like maybe 1 or 2 stories in all of human history of trans people doing the assault.
Literally. And you know what's funny? You're more likely to be assaulted by another cisgender bitch in the bathroom. I worked at a club that about a year before I'd started working there, they had an incident where 3 female customers went into the girls' bathroom and beat up one of the girls. Like, beat the shit out of her bad.
That's
like
bad.
That's more likely to happen to you than a trans woman assaulting you. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And also, if a man, and the people you're actually worried about doing the assaults is men pretending to be women, not actual trans women. If a man wanted to assault you in the bathroom,
they're just going to go in there.
He's not going to go buy women's clothing
and put on eyeliner.
Learn how to do makeup. Go through the whole process of figuring out how to pass well enough as a woman.
No.
So that he can go into the bathroom so that he can do the assault. He's just going to go into the bathroom and do the assault.
And this is the thing. He's not even going to go into the bathroom to do the assault.
He's not going to do it in the bathroom.
He's going to find another place to fucking do that.
He's going to do it in the alley outside. He's not going to do it in the bathroom. That's the worst possible place because other people are going to come into the bathroom.
He's going to drug her and put her in a van.
He's gonna take her somewhere else.
Like, it's lit. Like,
he's gonna pull her to a second location.
Like, the scenarios people come up with, it's so stupid.
It's wild.
Like, I've never gone into the bathroom with a trans girl and been like, what if she... I've never felt like that.
There are more cases of men dressing up like women and assaulting other women in JK Rowling's books than there are in actual human history.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just...
Sorry, I shouldn't have said... I'm misgendering. The correct author is Robert Galbraith.
Robert, get it together.
The man Robert Galbraith.
What's not clicking, Robert?
Who is writing books about how men... And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm preaching to the choir at this point because now you as well are fully convinced that JK Rowling is a man.
Yes, and if you're not, just go down the rabbit holes of a few things we threw out there at you. Just to do some research. Yeah. And hey, this is the thing. We could be wrong. We're not JK Rowling. We're not in their brain.
Totally possible.
It's, we could be wrong, but
she could just have brain rot because of the black mold in her house.
Yeah, it could be that.
Could be anything.
How you got all that money? You got black mold in your house.
I don't know. And we didn't even touch on the racism and the fact that she's literally exclusively targeting cisgender brown women and being like, you don't look womanly enough, therefore you're a man in disguise.
Yeah. What was that boxer she went on her rant about? The boxer?
Amain Khalef or something?
Yeah, I don't want to butcher her name, but like...
I don't remember it and I didn't write it down, so
that's
on me.
She was Algerian, right? Algerian,
yeah. So.
There was an Algerian boxer, I'm sure everyone heard about it, who was,
in the Olympics you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And the whole internet...
another incident since then.
And this is a cisgender woman.
With like a black runner, I think.
Wait, what?
There was another incident since then.
Oh, yeah.
A week or two ago or something.
Well, and
crazy.
like the female beauty standard society is set, it's all based off of white European women, unfortunately.
It's based on Nazi ideology.
Yeah, it really is. And like women of color, like not always, but they have different features that are also beautiful, and it doesn't make them less of a woman. And for you to sit here and transvestigate specifically black and brown women, because that's usually the demographic that gets it the worst in sports.
Those are the ones she's targeting.
Yeah, it's just...
He's targeting.
Yeah, literally.
Sorry, I keep fucking that up.
It would be easier to talk about this if JK Rowling would just come out of the closet, because then we could stick to the preferred pronouns and go, but
I hope we get like a cease and desist over this episode.
I know, right? Oh,
Episode 1, coming out the closet with a cease and desist from JK.
That would be the best promo ever if JK Rowling sued us.
It would be ideal.
Yeah.
All we'd have to do is prove in a court of law that he's a man. Which would mean that she has to prove in a court of law that she's a woman, which means she would have to go through all the scrutiny that she's forcing all trans people and many cis women to go through. It would be...
So JK, you could sue us and give us some promo. It would be cool. Or you could just come out of the closet, be much happier, and maybe try to start reversing some of the damage you've done.
That would be nice. That would be nice. You
Like-
could save a lot of children's lives.
Yeah.
Instead of getting on Twitter and being like, trans kids don't exist. There's only people brainwashed by brains, trans
I want
ideologies, mental viruses.
Is that what JK Rowling sounds
Robert
like in your
Galbraith
head?
told me that there's viruses in the children's brains and it's making them think they want to cut off their genitals. That's what I learned.
Oh, what is the Elon Muskrat call the woke mind virus? That's what it is.
There's a virus.
The woke mind virus.
It woke up. We woke it up.
It killed my son.
It's woke. My son is dead.
Went from gay son to thought daughter. It's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I chose gay son.
Technically still breathing and alive, but very dead. It's devastating. The whole brain just gone.
Yeah.
Just gone. Just a virus remaining.
We digress. I wanted to make one point about the one place I will empathize with JK Rowling. We should link that podcast that discusses JK Rowling's history and background and how they got
it's
to where
called
they
like
are.
The Witch Trials of JK Rowling.
Yeah. And it kind of
Fascinating and frustrating podcast.
Yeah, very much like, but they make a lot of really good points about like, this is how this person got to this place, and now they're at a place where they don't want to see the truth about anything. It's where they're at, but like, it humanizes JK Rowling a little bit, because when you understand that JK Rowling was abused by a man in a marriage, deeply abusive
very
bad, and that's one place I'm getting chills talking about it. I've never been like beaten by a dude or anything, but I've experienced SA. Like I've been in scary situations. It's terrible. It's traumatizing. It rewires your brain. It makes you a very different person coming out of it. And like, if JK Rowling is watching this is our first episode. We're gonna get like 4 viewers, but it's fine. You never know.
I don't know. Somebody might send this around to somebody.
Or like down the road, whatever. On the off chance that you are watching this, like, I am so sorry you went through that. That's terrible.
I agree.
That's the one place where, as frustrating of a person as you are to me, especially someone who's a fan of your books, like, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but you got to address
Didn't
that.
deserve it. You didn't deserve it.
And
many men are terrible.
Yeah, it is a problem in our society.
I agree with you.
But even me, the biggest man hater on the planet, like, there are dudes in my life that I think are wonderful guys, like, both trans and cis and whatever else in between. Like, you don't, coming out doesn't mean, if you do need to come out, if you really don't think you do, then, whatever, don't listen to us.
Yeah.
But
we're just two assholes with a podcast. What do we know?
We're just a couple of assholes that bought microphones like every other person on the internet these days.
Welcome to 2025.
Yeah.
The year of assholes talking into microphones. And getting drowned out by AI.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, coming out as a man wouldn't mean you have to be a piece of shit too. You know what I mean? And
it's true.
If anything,
and your ex sounds like a real prick.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
It sounds like really, really bad.
I hate your ex more than I hate you.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Despite all the harm that you've done to me specifically.
Yeah. And I live with her, so I got to hear about this shit. I experience it firsthand with this bitch. But like, yeah, you can be yourself and it doesn't mean anything bad,
That's really nice.
Trying to like approach things with empathy if we're putting this on the internet,
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's a really nice little closer on this.
Yeah.
Nice little button.
Fuck you for making all those tweets though, for real. Like, stop.
I mean, really, like, somebody should take your phone away. Because, like, it's not a good look.
Yeah.
The racism and the transphobia and the homophobia and the everything phobia coming out of you, Robert.
Yeah. Robert. Or Harry. Whichever one.
Harry.
You're gonna pick one of them eventually, or not.
Yeah.
But
that's one Harry Robert. You know what I'm saying?
That's one Harry Robert. No.
Anyway, do you have anything else to say to round out this episode?
I do want to make the disclaimer once again. Don't go around diagnosing people.
Absolutely not.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes.
This is the only individual we will ever be.
We will never do another this X person is trans.
Yeah,
episode
we're not
ever again.
We're not medical professionals or psychiatric professionals.
But this one's just it's just too obvious.
Yes, and it's also this is a big celebrity,
There's
and
more
they are
evidence than
causing
you can
harm.
shake a stick at.
It is just a theory. This is all alleged.
Yes, allegedly.
Allegedly.
To cover my legal bases.
Yeah, this is all alleged.
This is a hypothesis,
This is a hypothesis.
not a fact. This is not libel, nor is it the other one.
It's just a theory.
What is the other one?
I don't know. I don't know legal jargon like that.
It's that's
Probable? I don't know.
I'm just trying to remember the quote from Spider-Man.
Oh,
It's slander. Slander is the other one.
slander. Yeah.
Because Tobey Maguire's like, Mr. Simmons, you can't. Or it's not. JK Simmons isn't even the character. It's Mr. Jameson. It's like, Mr. Jameson, you can't print that. It's slander. He's like, it's not slander. In print, it's libel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just learned a new thing.
So I don't
did
know
not
if this
know
is
that.
print or not, but I guess this would be slander.
I guess it's not
If
though
it's
because it's
fake.
all alleged.
It's all just,
Allegedly,
sometimes freedom of speech, you can just make hypotheses.
JK Rowling is a man. Allegedly,
And it's only an insult if being trans is an insult, which I personally don't believe
it's not a bad thing.
because I'm trans.
Yeah, and
And
she's
this
pretty
is
fucking
Lady.
cool. And this is Lady.
And this has been Lady in the Trans.
This has been Lady in the Trans.
Thanks for saying I'm cool.
You are cool. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. So I speak nothing but facts.
That's a reason to keep listening to the show. Apparently, one of the hosts is cool.
And one of us is a big douche. It would be me. Can we say douche on?
I don't. Who fucking knows? We'll find out when we
On
post
Elon
it and
Musk's
get the video
internet?
pulled down. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyways.
Who owns YouTube?
I don't know. We'll have to Google it later.
Gerald
Anyways,
YouTube.
Gerald YouTube.
think
That's like his
That's
government
gotta
name.
be his name, right?
Plot twist: it's JK Rowling.
Sandy YouTuberson. Oh, what if
Sandy
it's JK?
YouTuberson. Yo. Oh man. All right. That concludes our episode.
I think we're done.
Thanks. Bye.
We'll see you later for more Lady in Transes.
Okay. We're good. We're rolling.
Scratch that all on your face. Scratch that. You want some face. Scratch that. You're a puppy.
For those of you that aren't seeing this on the camera, the dog is on the bed with us.
She's just chilling. She's snuggling.
Surprise.
She's
Chloe's
a
actually
snuggly
schizophrenic.
baby. I have an imaginary dog. Anyway, where I left off.
Okay. Do you remember? Because
I
I don't.
do.
Oh, God bless
Yeah,
you. Okay.
I'm amazing.